They thought the documentary was the execution. They were wrong. The documentary was just the warning shot. Because according to Freddy P, 50 Cent was never just watching Diddy fall. He was the fall. This isn't about a film. This isn't about a courtroom. This isn't even about money. This is about karma that walks, breathes, survives 9 bullets, and waits decades to collect. And the darkest truth? Most of what matters was never shown. People kept asking one question over and over. Why wasn't Freddy P in the documentary? Not out of curiosity, out of fear. Because everyone knew if Freddy spoke freely, the story wouldn't just get uncomfortable.
I had to go see this one because it was so many people reaching out to me like, man, I'm surprised you're not on there, man. I wanted to hear from you. Why you not on the DVD? On the documentary. But I always call them DVDs. I did that on the last interview. But I was saying basically about when it came to the documentary, there was a lot of stuff. If you go back to our old interviews that I had already informed and tried to keep it low profile about, because there was a lot of stuff that I had personally knew. So when people was proclaiming Puffy innocence, it was the fact that I was holding it in because it was for these people to tell their story, not for me. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot more stuff that people haven't heard.
It would get unmanageable. That line alone tells you everything the documentary didn't. Freddie wasn't missing, he was withholding. Not because he had nothing to say, but because what he knew didn't belong in a neat edit. It belonged in the shadows. Behind the scenes, Freddie says the calls did come. The invites were real. The producers reached out. But here's where the story turns ugly.
I was supposed to be on the DVD. They had reached out to me, the documentary. They had reached out to me, and this is why I give credit to 50 Cent, man, and I'm not knocking them, because I was talking about my money. Like, I'm like, man, I'll do it if y'all do it in Miami. Like, I'll do it if y'all do it in Miami. But I'm not flying to New York to go talk about a man and the money not right? So when I hit them back and told them what they was offering wasn't really enough for me to leave my house, and that ain't disrespect to them. What I'm saying is, what I would have probably missed in those 2 or 3 days that I was out filming, I ain't saying they offered me crumbs, you know what I'm saying? But what I would have missed in those 3 days, it didn't equivalent. It didn't equate. I'm talking about equivalent. It wasn't equivalent. It didn't equate. So I had.
People heard that and ran with a lazy narrative. He didn't do it for the money. That's not what he said. What he said was this.
Basically told him back like, hey man, it ain't that. But what Fifth was doing was, he wasn't budging. I give him credit for that. You know what I'm saying? He was like, hey man, it wasn't even about the money. It was basically a response from his team, basically like, listen, we doing this on the strength of, we want people to get their story out. We want people who really was affected by him to tell their story. We don't want to base this on money. If we base this on money, then it kind of salts down, you know what. So a lot of people, when you see them telling their stories on that DVD, that's why I give the authentication of it. Is so he made sure that you was only here to, if you want to tell it, tell it. I ain't trying to.
Exposing a powerful man has a price, and it's never what's on the invoice. Days away. Missed opportunities, consequences you don't see until years later. Freddie understood the cost, and he refused to discount it. But while Freddie stepped back, someone else refused to move at all. Because while others negotiated, compromised, or hesitated, 50 Cent didn't budge an inch.
All these girls he targeted, what's the name he took Cassie from? The little singing. All these, everybody he basically target they people. That's his way of war. And Puffy got what I call a little man complex, right? So a lot of rich dudes got this. Well, they compensate with lack of physical features by financial compensation. So a lot of women basically when you see these rich niggas out nowadays, they just stuck to these niggas because of what they doing for them. Most of these women would have stuck to another woman because they don't want to have to fake it no more, you know what I'm saying? Most women marry into success. They marry security. They don't marry who they love, you know what I'm saying? So Puffy being a guy who's been around money a long time, he took advantage of them. Not of the women, of the ways of him being who he is. So basically, if I'm Puff Daddy, I can, I can swoop down on a couple females who vulnerable at the time and you the ex to my enemy. So let me explain 50 Cent baby mama situation, and let me explain the origin of this DVD. So yeah, Puffy goes and attacks 50 Cent baby mother. Put her on the car under his wing, right? Now, her being as naive as she is, she think it's all about her. She think it's because I'm bad, I'm that bitch, I'm this and that. Whole time, he don't give a fuck about you. He just trying to get you because he got something against your baby father.
That's where the myth starts. This wasn't a business move. It wasn't content. It wasn't clout. It was war ethics. No payouts, no incentives, no scripting. If you were hurt, speak. If you weren't, stay quiet. That rule alone changed everything. Because now the documentary wasn't just entertainment. It was a ledger, and every name on it had already paid something. But the real story doesn't start with cameras. It starts with how power actually moves when nobody's watching. Freddy pulls the curtain back on something far uglier. How women were used as leverage, not love, not lust, weapons.
And it was an act of war to me. Because if you know me and this guy don't get along, you basically telling me I could get around your kid. I could be around. See, women be thinking it's about them. Whole time men, Puffy be an example, show you that men will target other men, women, on the strength of trying to affect a man or trying to get at their enemy. So he went out to 50 Cent. 50 Cent had to take that because a street nigga, a player, you can't get mad by no bitch and want to fight no nigga by no bitch. He took that on the chin. So what he did, he got disrespectful. He disconnected the female. He disassociated himself. That's what I do. If I see you out there in the streets acting crazy, I disassociate myself. Because I don't want no man to say you fucking my broad. I don't want you to think you got one up on me just because she being naive and she falling for it. That's your bitch now. So that was Puffy's main attack. That's why you see the sex workers, the interview with the sex worker and stuff like that coming out about her, because he wanted to basically like, how I say, take everything, or nothing you can say to me if I fuck your baby mother. Like if a nigga run through my baby mama, like basically I told him I'm gonna kill him. Like personally, if you know me, but I'm saying in Puff's situation, he knew it would hurt 50, but he also had something on 50 for the next 18 years. And 50 being more concerned about Saya and know women more than his son would ever know, or probably more than his son. Well, he definitely know more than his son knows now. So he's protecting him. And Puffy, he hit 50 with an act of war by going out to his baby mama and then sexually getting her to perform on tape and recording it and all this shit, and knowing that's your enemy. So knowing he can't get mad at you, you got these niggas, you got what, Ross, talk about I took your son fishing, all this shit, you play on my kid. Like, it's different now, my nigga. You play on my kid, I'm gonna take you out.
This wasn't romance. It was strategy. According to Freddy, this was how dominance was asserted. Not through fists, but through access. If you couldn't touch the man, you touched what mattered to him. And when that boundary was crossed, the rules changed permanently. Freddy calls it what it was. Not drama, not jealousy, not coincidence, an act of war. That's not industry beef, that's bloodline territory. And once children are involved, there is no time out, no forgiveness, no forgetting. From that moment forward, Freddy says, this stopped being about women, ego, or headlines. It became unfinished business. Now here's where the documentary misleads people. They think what they watched was justice. They think exposure equals closure. Freddy says that's a lie. That word matters. Public, not legal, not complete. Public, meaning the punishment wasn't prison. It was permanent perception. Every room, every look, every whisper, no reset button. And according to Freddy, that's only phase one. Because the real twist, the one nobody wants to say out loud, is that 50 Cent didn't just survive the system. He outlasted it. 9 shots, no tape, no scandals, no leverage. While others fell to traps, cameras, and compromat, he walked through untouched. And that's why Freddy suggests the hatred runs deeper than rivalry. Because survival like that doesn't look random. It looks intentional. And then comes the most chilling part of all, the admission that should have ended the conversation, but instead opens the darkest door. Never heard, never recorded, never prosecuted. Stories buried not because they're fake, but because they're too real. This is where Freddy slows down, not out of fear, but finality. Because some truths don't surface, they disappear. And that's where part 1 ends. Not with resolution, but with a warning. Because if this was just the surface, what happens when the rest finally cracks? They keep asking the wrong question. They ask why the documentary felt unfinished, why it didn't end with a verdict, why there was no clean bow tied around the chaos. Freddy says that's because this story was never meant to end clean. Some endings aren't designed for satisfaction. They're designed for containment, and the real containment wasn't in the edit room. It was in the silence that followed. After the cameras stopped rolling, something strange happened. People didn't feel relieved. They felt exposed. Not just the man at the center of the storm, but everyone who ever stood near him. Freddy says that's when the damage truly began. Not lawsuits, not headlines, distance. Rooms got quieter. Phones stopped ringing. Invitations dried up. Because once the documentary showed the inside, not the image, not the brand, people realized the mask was gone forever. And when a mask comes off after decades, what's underneath doesn't just shock people. It rearranges alliances. Freddy makes something painfully clear. This was never about one bad relationship. It was about patterns. Patterns of intimidation, patterns of control, patterns of people adapting just to survive. And that's the part the audience struggles with. Because survival doesn't always look noble. It looks messy, contradictory, sometimes complicit. Freddy refuses to flatten that reality. He draws a sharp line between victims who adapted and predators who engineered the environment. Because adaptation is what humans do when escape is impossible. And that's why blaming people caught inside the system only protects the system itself. Then Freddy shifts the lens away from scandal and towards something far more dangerous: legacy. He talks about children, about families, about what it means when power collapses publicly but continues privately. Because humiliation doesn't disappear when money stays intact. It mutates. And Freddy says the most brutal punishment wasn't legal. It was generational. Kids inheriting whispers, sons inheriting suspicion, daughters inheriting judgment they never earned. He says this is what happens when fear replaces accountability. It spreads outward. And this is where 50 Cent Ray enters the story. Not as a narrator, not as a producer, but as a symbol that never stops haunting the frame. Freddy doesn't describe him as obsessed. He describes him as unavoidable. Because unlike everyone else, 50 didn't fall into traps. No footage, no leverage, no compromat. While others were recorded, compromised, or coerced, he stayed clean. And in a culture built on exposure, that kind of absence becomes terrifying. Freddy says this is why the resentment ran so deep. Because if everyone else has something on them, and one man doesn't, that man becomes a mirror. And mirrors are dangerous. They don't accuse. They reflect. Then Freddy drops the line that reframes everything. He says karma doesn't always arrive as punishment. Sometimes it arrives as survival. The man who outlives you. The man who stays standing while your empire unravels. The man whose existence alone reminds the world that you were never untouchable. That's the real sentence. Not prison, not fines. Being remembered in comparison. Freddy makes it clear this wasn't revenge driven by anger. It was inevitability driven by time. Because systems collapse slowly, they rot before they fall. And by the time people notice the smell, it's already too late to pretend nothing's wrong. The most chilling part of Freddy's reflection is what he says won't happen next. There won't be a sequel documentary that clears everything up. There won't be a redemption film that restores trust. There won't be a final confession tying up loose ends. Why? Because too many people would have to admit they knew more than they ever said, and silence, once shared, becomes mutual protection. Freddy admits something else, quietly but deliberately. He doesn't hate anymore, not because harm didn't happen, but because obsession keeps people chained to the past. He says public exposure already did what courts couldn't. It froze perception in place. From now on, no matter what happens legally, the image is permanent. Every move questioned, every smile reinterpreted, every success doubted. That's not freedom. That's a life sentence in plain sight. And then Freddy circles back to the documentary itself. He praises it not for what it revealed, but for what it forced people to confront. The reality that power without restraint always creates victims, even among those who think they're winning. And that's why, he says, the film doesn't feel finished. Because it wasn't meant to close the book. It was meant to leave it open. Freddy ends with a warning disguised as advice. He says if there's any wisdom left to extract, it's this. When people around you are too afraid to tell you the truth, your downfall has already started. Not because enemies are plotting, but because honesty left the room years ago. And when honesty leaves, reality follows. This story doesn't end with justice. It ends with exposure without erasure. The past remains intact. The damage remains visible. The silence remains loud. And somewhere in the background, untouched, unrecorded, unbroken, karma keeps breathing. Not loudly, not dramatically, just patiently.